Alright, let's rewind to 1776, where we're knee-deep in one of the most intense years in American colonial history. Picture this. Things are tense, rumors of rebellion are swirling, and the colonies are tiptoeing closer and closer to declaring full-on independence. And in the middle of all this, Virginia, one of the wealthiest and most influential colonies, steps up and decides they're done playing it safe. On May 15, 1776, Virginia's colonial leaders meet and make a bold declaration that throws down the gauntlet. They formally call for independence, taking the lead in the fight for freedom. It's a moment that's easy to miss in the history books, but make no mistake. Without Virginia's gutsy move, the story of American independence might have looked a whole lot different. So, let's dig into how Virginia's declaration fired up the colonies and paved the way for the birth of a nation. To really get why Virginia's declaration was such a big deal, we've got to set the stage. By early 1776, things in the American colonies are more explosive than ever. From New England to the Carolinas, tensions with Britain are boiling over, and the colonists are furious about everything from unfair taxes to British troops patrolling their streets. But here's the thing, while the colonies are getting fed up, they're still divided on how far they're willing to go. Some are ready to cut ties with Britain, while others are still hesitant, thinking maybe they can work things out. The push for full independence? That's a big, scary leap for most people. Now, Virginia's got a unique place in all this. Not only is it one of the wealthiest colonies, but it's also home to some of the most influential leaders like Patrick Henry, George Mason, and Richard Henry Lee. These guys aren't just talking about change, they're pushing hard for it. Virginia's people are feeling the heat too. From economic pressures to political frustration, they're ready for something drastic. They don't just want representation, they want freedom. May 15, 1776. It's a day that starts like any other, but ends up changing the game. Virginia's colonial assembly, also called the House of Burgesses, gathers to vote on a resolution proposed by Edmund Pendleton and influenced by the fierce patriot spirit of leaders like Patrick Henry. The resolution isn't just any old document, it's a full-on declaration that Virginia supports complete independence from Britain. They passed the resolution, officially calling for the other colonies to join in a united stand for independence. This isn't a suggestion or a mild protest, it's a call to action. Virginia is saying, we're ready to break free, and we want the rest of you with us. It's bold, it's risky, and it's exactly the kind of move that pushes the other colonies toward the idea of declaring independence themselves. And there's more. This declaration also orders Virginia's delegates at the Continental Congress to propose independence for all colonies. So, Virginia isn't just speaking for itself, it's encouraging the entire colonial assembly to commit to freedom. This document, known as the Virginia Declaration of Rights, drafted largely by George Mason, becomes a huge inspiration for the Declaration of Independence and even influences the future U.S. Bill of Rights. So, Virginia makes this big move. What happens next? Well, news of Virginia's declaration spreads like wildfire. Other colonies are watching closely, and Virginia's bold stance sends a clear message. If one of the biggest, wealthiest colonies is ready for independence, maybe it's time to join them. In just a couple of months, we get the Continental Congress adopting the Declaration of Independence on July 4th. Virginia's resolution is like the final push that turns a radical idea into reality. It's proof that the colonies don't have to stay under British rule. They can stand on their own and create something new. Plus, the Virginia Declaration of Rights doesn't just fade away. Its principles end up shaping the language and ideas in the Declaration of Independence and later the Bill of Rights. It's a lasting legacy, a blueprint for freedom that echoes through history. Virginia didn't just call for independence, they outlined the fundamental rights that would go on to define a new nation. So why does Virginia's declaration still matter today? Because it's a story of courage, of taking the lead even when the stakes are sky high. Virginia's leaders weren't just talking about freedom, they were putting everything on the line for it. They knew the risks. They could lose everything if the revolution failed, but they stepped up anyway. Virginia's stand reminds us that real change often starts with one bold move. Without their push for independence, the colonies might not have united as they did. Virginia's Declaration of Rights, with its emphasis on fundamental freedoms, still speaks to us today about the value of liberty, justice, and the courage to fight for what's right. So, if you're ever feeling like one person or one action can't make a difference, remember Virginia in 1776. They went first, they went big, and they helped make history. And if you're as fired up about untold stories as we are, hit that subscribe button, because there are plenty more epic moments coming your way. See you in the next one.